Hi, fourth graders. It's Mrs. Somick here with your Thursday final review day of main idea and supporting details. I know you know our 5 steps at this point because we're going to be asking ourselves what we just read about, looking for any kind of titles, pictures, or clue words, and then making sure we reread the first and last sentences of our passages. So we're going to continue on today with another informational nonfiction selection here on our final slide. Hope you enjoy it. It's kind of interesting. All right, so remember we're going to be looking for a subject or topic, so look for some repeated words here. We're going to come up with, okay, well, that's our subject, but what about it? And then 3 details that are supporting it. Follow along with me. The Titanic was a massive ship that sunk on its maiden, or first, voyage in April 1912. The ship was said to be unsinkable, but when it struck an iceberg, part of the ship's hull had holes torn into it. The passengers on board the ship had very little time to exit the ship, and many people died. The Titanic sank 2 hours after it hit the berg. The sinking of the ship is still remembered and taught by teachers today. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves, what is the subject I'm talking about? Can you see some repeated words? Right here, I see Titanic. I see that word ship being repeated a lot too. So I know the Titanic was the name of that ship, right? And there again is that word Titanic. So what did I just read about? I read about the Titanic. Now this is important. What about the Titanic? What happened to the Titanic? Was it a successful first journey? No. What happened to it? Let's go back to the first and last sentence. The Titanic was a massive ship that sunk on its maiden or first voyage. Is that what the whole thing was about? Sounds like it. It says that the sinking of the ship is still remembered and taught by teachers today. So the remembering and the teaching by teachers today is not really what the whole thing is about. It just gives us more information about the Titanic. But this whole paragraph was all about this massive ship sinking on its very first voyage, what we call the maiden voyage. So let's take a look at our statement together. The Titanic sunk on its maiden voyage. That's what the whole thing was about. Well, how do I know it was about it sinking on its maiden voyage? Pick up my pen here. Can you see any details about that? What happened to it? What did it hit? When it struck an iceberg, part of the ship's hull had holes torn into it. So it hit an iceberg and tore in holes. Well, that's not really good for a ship, is it? And there is that first detail for you. How else do I know that it sunk? What details did they give us about the sinking of the ship? Oh dear, did we have lots of time to exit the ship as it was sinking? No, the passengers, we know it was sinking because what did they have to do? They needed to exit the ship, and unfortunately, many people died because they did not have a lot of time. So that gives us more information about this maiden voyage and how it was a tragedy and not this successful first voyage for it. And there's that second detail. What else did I learn about the sinking of the Titanic? How quickly did it go down? I know it was fast. It just told us this. How fast was it? There we go, our third detail. It sank after just 2 hours. That is pretty quick because it's such a huge ship. And we can see that third detail right there. Okay, so today we have read about our topic of the Titanic. What about it? How it sunk on its very first voyage. And these were 3 interesting facts that we learned about the sinking of the Titanic. Okay, now you already know, I'm sure at this point, that we need to go over to our classwork and click on Thursday here. Now, in your packet, you will also see this same passage that I am pulling up. And as I've said before, if it helps to read it on the paper, then great. But just make sure, please, as always, you click and choose your answers so that your teacher can review these answers that you have chosen for questions 1 through 4 before hitting submit. Okay? Well, I hope you've had plenty of practice because remember tomorrow, we're going to give you a little quiz on main idea and details. All right? Okay, until next time.